Stop pouring from an empty cup, the radical act of choosing yourself. First, welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. And I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Patricia Ward for a conversation that honestly shook me a little. Patricia Ward is a woman who is rewriting what it means to survive, to heal, and to choose yourself, even when the world has taught you that your value is measured by how much you can give away. She's a mother of three, a grandmother, currently unemployed after being wrongfully terminated on workers' compensation and barely surviving. And she is not ashamed. She is not hiding. She is stepping into her soft girl era at 47, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when the wounds are still raw, even when softness feels like a language she's still learning to speak. Patricia is making the world a better place simply by refusing to let her story end in silence, by choosing to heal out loud, and by giving other Black women permission to do the same. Her courage to be vulnerable in a world that demands invincibility is nothing short of revolutionary. And what Patricia shared with me during our conversation is something I believe every single one of us needs to hear, especially if you've spent your whole life being the strong one, the dependable one, the one who shows up no matter what it costs you. Here's the truth Patricia is living right now, and it's the truth I want you to walk away with today. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Help yourself first. Supporting others at the expense of your physical, emotional, and financial health is not sustainable. Self preservation is not selfish, it is the foundation that allows you to truly help others long term. Let me say that again because I know some of you didn't hear it the first time. Self preservation is not selfish. It is the foundation Patricia talked about, walking around with missing teeth, still smiling, still showing up for others, still trying to be the glue that held everything together. And I asked her, what did that moment teach you about the cost of trying to be strong for everyone? And she said something that I will never forget. She said she realized she had been letting people drink from a cup she had to fill herself. And she was running on empty, on fumes, on nothing but the fumes of who she used to be before the abuse, before the betrayal, before the lies. And I know some of you are sitting there right now listening to this, and you are nodding because you have been that person. You have been the one who kept smiling, even when your body was breaking. You have been the one who kept giving, even when you had nothing left. You have been the one who kept showing up, even when no one showed up for you. And I want to tell you something: abuse and betrayal, even by family or employers, do not cancel your value or your destiny. Being verbally, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, and spiritually abused can shape your story, but it does not get to write the ending. Healing, rebuilding, and thriving are still available, even if you are currently unemployed, on workers' compensation, and barely surviving. Patricia is living proof of that. She is not waiting until she has it all together to step into her softness. She is not waiting until she has a job, until her body is healed, until her bank account is full. She is choosing herself right now, in the mess, in the middle, in the barely surviving. And that is what soft girl era is really about. It is not about perfection. It is not about having everything figured out. It is about choosing yourself even when it feels radical, even when it feels rebellious, even when it feels like you are breaking some unspoken rule that says Black women are supposed to be strong all the time. Let me tell you about Tarana Burke. Tarana is a Black woman activist from the Bronx who founded the Me Too movement years before it became a hashtag. She built a global movement while still actively healing from her own trauma. She was a survivor of sexual abuse herself and carried deep shame and pain. She worked in under resourced communities where Black girls' pain was often dismissed or ignored. And as the movement grew, she faced the emotional weight of hearing thousands of trauma stories while still managing her own healing and burnout. But here's what Tarana did: she made healing centered work a core principle of the movement, insisting that survivors need space, resources, and community, not just awareness. She created boundaries around how and when she engaged with media, speaking about the need for self care as an activist and survivor. She developed programming that emphasized survivor leadership and collective healing, rather than centering only punishment of abusers. And because of that, Me Too became a global movement that changed how the world talks about sexual violence. Tarana publicly modeled what it looks like to be far from perfect, yet perfect from afar. A leader who admits her own pain, fatigue, and need for care while still holding space for others. She shifted the narrative from just tell your story to your healing matters, reinforcing that survivors must not neglect themselves to keep showing up for others. Tarana's journey started when she was mentoring Black girls, and one disclosed sexual abuse. Burke later said she wished she had just said, "Me too," to signal shared experience and support. That moment became the seed for a movement that put Black girls and women at the center, even as mainstream media initially tried to erase her role when the hashtag went viral. She founded a movement that has reached millions globally. She became a recognized human rights leader, receiving numerous awards and honors for her work. She authored a memoir that details both her activism and her healing journey, showing the full humanity behind the public, strong Black woman image. Me Too has influenced workplace policies, legal reforms, and cultural norms around consent and accountability. For Black women specifically, Burke's story reinforces that you can lead and love your community while refusing to dim your own light or ignore your own wounds. Her emphasis on healing centered engagement is a direct challenge to the idea that you must break yourself to save others. Tarana's story is Patricia's story. It is your story. It is the story of every Black woman who has been told that her pain doesn't matter as much as her productivity, that her healing can wait until everyone else is okay. And I am here to tell you that is a lie. Let me tell you about Serena Williams. Serena is one of the greatest athletes of all time, and she wrote a personal essay explaining her decision to step away from professional tennis to prioritize her health, family, and personal evolution. She chose not to continue sacrificing herself for expectations from fans, sponsors, or the sport. Serena dealt with years of intense physical strain and health complications, including life threatening childbirth experiences. She faced constant public scrutiny of her body, behavior, and emotions, often filtered through racism and sexism. And there was pressure to continue performing at the highest level, even as she desired more time for motherhood, business ventures, and self. So she made the difficult decision to evolve away from tennis, choosing herself, her daughter, and future children over staying indefinitely in a career that demanded everything from her body and mind. She reclaimed the narrative, writing in her own words about her choice instead of letting media define her story. She invested in her business and venture capital endeavors, shifting her focus to empowering other founders, especially women of color, without sacrificing her health. And because of that, Serena exited the sport on her own terms, showing millions of Black women that you are allowed to walk away from what drains you, even if you are the best at it. Her essay sparked global conversations about burnout, boundaries, and Black women choosing themselves. after decades of being everything to everyone. From Compton to Grand Slam titles, Serena built a legacy under extreme pressure, often being treated like a machine instead of a human being. Over time, health scares and the emotional toll of constantly fighting for respect pushed her to reassess her priorities and refuse to keep bleeding for institutions that didn't always protect her. She won 23 Grand Slam singles titles and multiple doubles titles. She had an iconic impact on how Black women are seen in sports, strength, and femininity. She became a successful investor and entrepreneur, backing numerous women led and diverse founded startups. And Serena's story models what it looks like to stop dimming your own light for systems that take more than they give. For Black professionals and entrepreneurs, her decision to step away at the height of her fame validates choosing rest, health, and new chapters over endless grind. She offers a powerful example of a woman who refused to keep letting the world drink from a cup she was no longer willing to fill at the cost of herself. And then there's Simone Biles. Simone is a Black gymnast and one of the most decorated athletes in history. She withdrew from several events at the Tokyo Olympics to protect her mental health and physical safety when she experienced the twisties, a dangerous loss of spatial awareness midair. She faced immense global pressure as the face of Team USA in gymnastics, expected to perform flawlessly. There was public and media criticism questioning her toughness and commitment when she chose to step back. And there was the psychological and physical risk of competing with the twisties, which could result in catastrophic injury. But Simone chose not to compete in certain events, prioritizing her mental health and bodily safety over medals and public approval. She spoke openly about mental health, especially the unique pressures on elite athletes and survivors of abuse, given her history with the Larry Nassar scandal. She focused on support roles, cheering on teammates while caring for herself, showing that contribution doesn't always mean self sacrifice. And because of that, Simone's decision was widely recognized as a defining moment in mental health advocacy, particularly for Black women in high performance spaces. She returned to competition on her own terms, still winning medals, but with a clear priority on well being. Her story encouraged workplaces, schools, and sports organizations to take mental health more seriously. Simone had previously testified about being sexually abused by team doctor Larry Nassar and criticized USA Gymnastics for failing to protect athletes. She carried the weight of being both a survivor and a symbol of excellence, often expected to push through regardless of trauma or pressure. She won multiple Olympic and World Championship medals, redefining what is possible in gymnastics. She was honored as one of the most influential athletes of her generation. She became a prominent advocate for athlete safety and mental health. Simone's Choice told Black women worldwide, you are not obligated to destroy yourself to meet other people's expectations. Her story resonates with anyone who has been abused, lied on, or wrongfully treated by institutions, yet still chooses to protect themselves first. She became a living example of someone who refused to let others keep drinking from a cup that would cost her sanity or her body to refill. These women, Tarana, Serena, Simone, they are not superheroes. They are human beings who decided that their healing, their peace, their bodies, their mental health matter just as much as their contributions to the world. And that is the lesson Patricia Ward is teaching us right now. You are allowed to step into your soft girl era, even if you are 47, still healing, shy, and a little hostile when the wounds are touched. Softness does not mean weakness, it means reclaiming gentleness, safety, and tenderness for yourself after a lifetime of hardness, hustle, and survival. Patricia is learning to be soft in a world that taught her survival. And that is the question I want to leave you with today. How are you learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival? Because here's what I know: setting boundaries is an act of self love, not selfishness. And your past abuse does not define your future power or your worth. These truths are especially vital for Black professionals and entrepreneurs who are often conditioned to overgive, overwork, and silently endure. So here's what I want you to do. For the next 30 days, I want you to do a cup check before you give to anyone else. Before you say yes to a favor, project, family request, or workplace demand, ask yourself, is my cup full enough to give, or am I already depleted? If you are depleted emotionally, physically, financially, practice saying no or not right now, um, at least once per day for 30 days. Journal what happens. How do people react? How do you feel? Where does guilt show up? Where does relief show up? Set one non negotiable boundary around your healing. For some, it might be weekly therapy, daily prayer, or meditation, or a strict limit on unpaid emotional labor for others. Communicate that boundary clearly to at least one person who is used to accessing you freely: family, friend, boss, client. Monitor how honoring that boundary impacts your stress, your sense of self, and your ability to smile without betraying yourself. And tell one honest truth about your journey to someone you trust. Like Patricia, who is willing to say, I'm unemployed, on workers' compensation, barely surviving, and still not ashamed. Share one unpolished truth about where you really are. This breaks the pattern of pretending to be okay while you're falling apart, and it opens space for real support. I want you to understand something. The world will keep asking you to be strong. The world will keep asking you to show up. The world will keep asking you to sacrifice. But today I am asking you something different. I am asking you to be honest. I am asking you to be soft. I am asking you to protect your own cup with the same fierceness you have used to protect everyone else's. Because the truth is, you deserve softness. You deserve rest. You deserve to fill your own cup first, and you do not need permission from anyone to choose yourself. Patricia Ward is choosing herself. Tarana Burke chose herself. Serena Williams chose herself. Simone Biles chose herself. And today, I am not just asking you to think about choosing yourself. I am not asking you to consider it. I am demanding that you do it. I am demanding that you stop waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, the approval of others. I am demanding that you look in the mirror today and say out loud, I matter. My healing matters. My peace matters. My joy matters. Because if you don't choose yourself, who will? This is your soft girl era. This is your permission slip. This is your moment. Now go fill your cup